Shabbat Shalom, good morning. Welcome and greetings to the scattered nation of Israel, the true chosen people of the Most High, scattered according to Bible prophecy into the four corners of the earth through slavery, and now awaiting their redemption through the line of the tribe of Judah from Yahweh. Greetings to you. Greetings also to those that are not of the bloodline, but are grafted into the scattered nation of the children of Israel through faith in the Hebrew Messiah, the line of the tribe of Judah, who seek to have Yah's righteousness revealed in them. Greetings. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, trying to save lives. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage for us, keep our places clean. Blessings upon those that make deliveries for our convenience. Blessings also, double blessings on those that are trying to deliver boys and girls, men and women, children, even babies, from the clutches of human trafficking, sex slavery, child molestation, pedophilia, and child pornography. Blessings upon those that are trying to deliver the innocents from this disgusting industry, and curses, double curses on those that perform these heinous acts and are supporting this abominable industry. Finally, blessings on those that are trying to help the homeless and the homeless themselves. 600,000 people in the United States alone, and millions around the world that don't have a roof over their head. Blessings upon them and on those trying to help, for theirs is the kingdom. We have been studying, greetings also, greetings. Greetings to those in the chat. Brothers and sisters, Ax and Akas in the chat, greetings to you as well. Praise the Most High Yahweh. We have been studying the prophecy of Jeremiah. We have been studying the prophecy of Jeremiah. And as we have talked about, and we continue to keep this point before us, the prophecy of Jeremiah is centered around the Israelite people. After all, Jeremiah is a prophet of the Israelite people, as are all the prophets of the Bible. He is a Levite, tribe of Levi. He is a priest. And he is called from the womb, the Bible tells us, or has told us, to be a prophet for the Most High for his people. This prophecy, as well as the prophecies of other prophets in the Old Testament, is a prelude to our time. It's a prelude, a precursor to the end. The greatest event in the history of the universe is going to be the establishment of the kingdom of Yah on the earth, the return of the Messiah to take his kingdom. This is the greatest event. This is the event that the third heaven and all other intelligences of the universe are waiting for. So everything in the prophets is pointing to that. Because why do I say that's the greatest event? Because then that would represent the violent and permanent overthrow of the government of darkness that is on the earth. Again, Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians chapter 6. If I could find it here. Ephesians 6. I'm going to begin again. Ephesians chapter 6. I'm going to begin at verse 10. Ephesians 6, beginning at verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in Yahweh and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yah, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. The word wiles is deceit. That you may be able to stand against the schemes, the deceit of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So the event that I just described in the return of the Messiah to claim his kingdom as King of Kings and Lord of Lords in the name of his Father is the greatest event because it will overthrow the principalities, powers, and rulers of the darkness of this world. There will be a revolution, but it's not going to be made from Karl Marx. It's not going to be made from the Black Panthers. It's not going to be made from the French Revolution, the Napoleon. No, there's going to be an overthrow, a revolution, a real revolution. People like to use this word too loosely, I think, the word revolution. You know, Bernie Sanders was a senator from Vermont running for president, and he kept saying we're going to have a peaceful revolution. I knew then he was going to lose because he's being foolish. There is no such thing as a peaceful revolution. There's no such thing. A revolution by its nature is violent. It's violent. Because the people that are being changed or the people whose place are being taken are not going to want that. So they're going to fight with everything they have, particularly when they have obtained their kingdom by revolution. When they have obtained their kingdom by bloodshed, by violence, by unrighteousness, they're not going to just roll over and let things change. That's not going to happen. So when you talk about a revolution, you're talking about a violent, powerful, decisive overthrow of a current system. And since we just read, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, you can know right now, it's not about me and other Israelites overthrowing this kingdom. At least we're not being led by ourselves. It's a spiritual power that's going to come and overthrow. Because, brethren, we always say it. The spirit world that dwells on the earth is more real and way more powerful than the physical world. No matter how strong any physical man is, no matter how powerful any man is, they all fear the spirit world. Because it's stuff they can't see and hear, but can affect them physically, mentally, spiritually. The spiritual world is more real and more powerful. And behind the scenes of the physical world that we're dealing with, the spiritual world is doing things and working things that you're seeing made manifest in a physical manner. And so the word of the Most High tells us that the Father is going to send his son again, a second time. And we're going to read it in the next chapter, probably later today when we study Jeremiah 23. But when he does that, there's going to be a violent, powerful, decisive, final overthrow of the governments of this world. And the Most High has said in his word, and here's the most thing that most people have an unbelievable time receiving, is that the chosen people are going to be ruling in that world. The chosen people are going to be the capital nation. As right now, the world would agree, I think the world would all agree, the United States of America is the most influential nation on planet Earth. I think if you want to be honest with yourself, you will see that. The United States of America is the most powerful and the most influential nation on planet Earth. And as we're going to study today, the stink of its corruption stinks up the earth. Did you hear what I said? The stink of the corruption stinks up the planet. Now let's flip it. Let's flip the script. When the nation of Israel, led by Yahushua, rule this planet, the righteousness and peace and joy of that kingdom will permeate the entire planet. There will be peace and harmony and balance and fairness. There'll be nobody in want. There'll be nobody that's poor. There'll be nobody that worships another God. There'll be no more greed on the planet. it will not exist anymore. Greed will no longer be a thing. Lust for power will no longer be a thing. Unrighteousness will no longer be a thing. And so that's why the statement I initially made is true. The return of the Messiah to establish the kingdom in the name of his Father is the event that the entire universe is waiting for. And that's why when we're studying Jeremiah, and I say to you, it's a precursor of what's to come. That's how you got to look at Jeremiah. Okay? So it's Jeremiah talking to the Israelite people about their sins and about how Babylon, because of their sins, will be permitted to take them over. And about how the unrighteousness that developed within the nation caused this destruction. Brethren, we're seeing the same thing in the last days on a worldwide basis among the Gentiles. Again, let's take a look at Luke chapter 21. A lot of people, because they're looking at it through the eyes of Christianity, and it's going to lead you astray, because Christianity as a religion is not mentioned in the Bible. It's not mentioned except in Rome. So that the Roman Catholic Church is the true foundation of Christianity. But it's not mentioned as anything of the chosen people. And because people look at the scriptures through that lens, they're going to be off every time. You have to understand the scriptures through the lens of the Hebrew people. The Hebrews are who it was written about and for. And I'm not talking about the Judaism practitioners. Those are not the Hebrew people. Those persons are from Europe, from the Caucasus Mountains. They're from Japhet, and they converted themselves, literally, to a religion they created, which they called Judaism. And in their religion, Abraham is claimed to be the founder of the Judaism religion. That's their claim. The Bible makes no such distinction. The Bible never credits Abraham with founding any religion. Okay? If you want to really go back to the founder of what we believe, you go back to Messiah himself and Father himself, which gave it to who? Noah. And before Noah, Adam. There was Adam, there was Seth, there was Enos, there was Jared, there was Enoch, there was Lamech, there was Methuselah, and there was Noah. Noah had 3 sons, and the promised line came through his oldest boy, Shem. From Shem to Arphaxad, from Arphaxad to Eber, from what we get the word Hebrew. From Eber to Abraham, whose name was changed to Abraham. From Abraham to his son that was called the chosen seed, the one in who his seed would be called, because Abraham had many sons. Isaac. Isaac had twin sons. One of them, Jacob, was the chosen one. And as a sign that Jacob and his children would be the chosen seed, his name was changed by the Most High. Jacob didn't make up this name. It was changed by the Most High from Jacob to Israel. And his children received from the mouth of the Father Yah himself, the only people on earth, the covenant, which is eternal. And so everything is based on them. When you read Luke chapter 21, it talks about the end, right? Let's take a look at Luke chapter 21, beginning at verse 1. Let's take a look at it. Luke chapter 21, beginning at verse 1. It says, and he looked up and saw the rich men casting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw also a certain poor widow casting into the 2 mites. And he said, of a truth I say unto you that this poor widow has cast in more than they all. For all these have of their abundance cast in unto the offerings of Yah. But she in her penury cast in all her living that she had. And as some spake of the temple and how it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts, he said, as for these things which ye behold, The days will come in which there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be? And what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? So the question was asked, when are these things going to happen? And what were the things? The destruction of Jerusalem, the destruction of the temple. That's what the question was. The destruction of Jerusalem and the destruction of the temple. So then he went down a litany of things. And let's read some of them. Luke chapter 21, beginning at verse 8. Take heed that ye be not deceived. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Messiah, and the time draweth near, and go ye not therefore after them. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Now here, I want to stress again, the end that he's speaking about is the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. That's the end he's talking about here. Okay, let's keep reading. Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in divers places, famines and pestilences, and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. But before all these, he said, before you see these things, before all these, they shall lay their hands upon you, you disciples of Messiah, you Israelite disciples. They shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues. Again, did he say Christian churches? Or did he say synagogues? What's a synagogue? It's a gathering for Hebrews on the Sabbath, a place they gathered. Synagogue for the Hebrews. He said they shall take you to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. It shall turn to you for a testimony. Settle it therefore in your hearts, not to meditate before what ye shall answer. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. And ye shall be betrayed by both parents and brethren, kinfolks and friends. Some of you shall they cause to be put to death. Ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But there shall not a hair of your head perish. In patience possess ye your soul. And we should watch this, verse 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem. So again, he's talking specifically about Jerusalem and the nation of Israel and the temple. Okay, he's not dealing with the White House or the cities in the world today. He's talking about Jerusalem. Let's continue. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is not. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For watch verse now. This is the key thing, 22, 23, and 24. Watch very carefully what he says here, what the Messiah teaches us here. Watch carefully now. 22, 23, and 24. For these be days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. So in other words, this is written in the prophets. And he's saying there are days of vengeance. Vengeance upon whom? Let's look. But woe unto them that are with child, unto them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. He said there shall be great distress in the land. What land? The Israelite land of Judah. And he said wrath upon this people. Who? The Israelites. There shall be wrath upon the Israelites. They asked him, when is this going to happen? When is this destruction coming? And he's telling them about the destruction coming to Jerusalem and to the temple and to the people of Israel, the true nation, the bloodline. Wrath upon this people. Let's continue. Watch. Verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. Has that happened? After the destruction of Jerusalem, were the Israelites led away captive? In other words, were they put into slavery? And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles. the Gentiles shall trodden down Jerusalem, take Israelites captive, and the Most High's wrath is going to be used by the Gentiles to bring wrath on the people. Okay, wait. Jerusalem, verse 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So now, once that happened, from that point on, it's the times of the Gentiles. Are you understand? So once the destruction would take place, that had not taken place yet. He's telling his disciples, watch for these signs. But when it takes place, then you're going to see the times of the Gentiles. And the Gentiles are going to be in ruling until their time is fulfilled. So from this point of the section here going forward, now he's talking about now we're into the times of the Gentiles, and his people at this point from verse 25 on are scattered into all nations. And now he's telling them what would happen as the times of the Gentiles were upon them, right? Verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars, upon the earth distress of nations, and with perplexity the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, for looking upon those things which are coming upon the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man come in the cloud with power and great glory. See, in the times of the Gentiles, after the destruction of Jerusalem, after that time, you will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with power and glory. See, some say, well, this already came to pass. That's because they're looking at this as a Christian, and they're looking at all this as if it's supposed to happen now. And some say, well, it all already happened. No, it didn't happen. Not this part. The Gentiles are in power, just as he said they would be. And yes, they did destroy Jerusalem. And yes, we did go into captivity and slavery into all nations. But right now, we're at this point where it's not happened. The Messiah has not returned yet, obviously, right? So he said, men's hearts failing for fear, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the cloud with power and great glory. When these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. See, when you see distress of nations, men's hearts failing them for fear. You see people, it says, men heart for looking upon those things coming upon the earth, talking about how our people have heart trouble, disease, fear in our enemies' lands, and people in general are getting scared and restless and distressed. Do you see that? And what did he tell us to do? Watch for your redemption draweth nigh. Okay, notice again, verse 29. And he spake to them a parable. Behold, the fig tree and all the trees. When they now shoot forth, ye see and know your own selves that summer is now nigh at hand. So likewise, when ye see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of Yahweh is at hand. What's at hand? The kingdom that's going to overthrow the Gentile kingdom is at hand. Okay? The kingdom is at hand. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. See, what is he saying? Many people say, well, then he should have came. No. All the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple and the Gentiles coming into power, that all happened in that generation. That all happened between AD 34 and AD 70. That happened. Just like he said. Okay. And what are we waiting for now? The return of the Messiah. We're still in the power of the Gentiles, but as the scriptures and as all the rest of the prophets teach us, we're at the end of those powers. We're at the end of those powers. Okay. Verse 33, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. Verse 34, take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and the cares of this life, so that the day come upon you unawares. For as a snare, notice, as a snare shall come upon all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. See, now he's talking about the Gentile rule. See, before in the beginning, he's talking about Jerusalem and what's going to happen in the land of Judea. But then once that takes place, he said, as a snare, the return of the Israelite king, Messiah, is going to come upon all them that dwell upon the face of all the earth. See, that's where we are right now. Okay. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. When he says escape, we read this in Revelation. The Israelites and those grafted in with them will escape the destruction. Let me say that again. It's an Israelite kingdom. New Jerusalem is the capital of an Israelite kingdom with the 12 tribes on the 12 gates. So you're going to have the Israelite people that are faithful, not all now, not all that are bloodline Israel, the Bible says, are of Israel, but the faithful Israelite people who have been faithful at the end to come back and awaken to who they are and bring the truth. And the Gentiles that are faithful to come into the Israelite kingdom with them, they're going to escape these things. And they will be called, as the Bible tells us, a remnant. A remnant. He says it's going to come upon the whole earth. Okay, the whole earth. And that's the same in Matthew 24. You got to look at it like that. You can't look at it as if, Jerusalem means anything today. It doesn't. It was destroyed. It was talking about this destroying, scattering, and enslavement of the Israelite people, of the people of the southern kingdom of Judah. The southern kingdom of Judah. Because the northern kingdom had already been scattered several hundred years before that. But the southern kingdom, he said Judea. See, that's what we're dealing with. So the return of the Messiah is the event that everyone's waiting for. And as we look at Jeremiah, everything happening literally and locally in the land at that time with the prophecies have a future worldwide application to the return of Messiah and the kingdom of righteousness founded in Israel with the chosen people and all the earth as one, all the earth with one language, all the earth in one speech and serving one God and balance and harmony and peace on the planet. Okay. Jeremiah chapter 22. Jeremiah chapter 22, beginning at verse 1. Jeremiah chapter 22, beginning at verse 1. Thus saith Yahweh, go down to the house of the king of Judah and speak there this word. Verse 1. What does he tell his prophet? He said, go to the house of the king of Judah, the most powerful man in the southern kingdom, and speak this word. So you can know right now, that's a dangerous assignment, correct? That's a dangerous assignment. Go to the ruler, the monarch of this kingdom, and speak my words. Now, and I know we've already read 21 chapters in the book of Jeremiah. He ain't speaking no peaceful words to the king. All right. So what is the risk to him? Obviously, his head, right? His head might get cut off. He ain't going to speak no peaceful words to the king. He's probably scared. The Most High say, go to the king's house and I'm going to put words in your mouth to speak to him. As a matter of fact, from what we looked at, when we looked at chapter 20, when Pashur, the priest who was also chief governor of the house of Yahweh, hated Jeremiah. And the people that were with Pashur hated Jeremiah because we talked about what? And we're going to see that again later on, killing the messenger. So here come the messenger. It was almost like when Samuel was the prophet. When Samuel was the prophet of Israel and the priest of Israel, and he was the judge before they asked for a king. And they had anointed Saul king, and then Saul was obviously now prophesied to lose the kingdom. So Samuel came to Jesse's house, right? Jesse, David's father. He came to Jesse's house. And when the people saw Samuel coming, they got scared. And they asked him this, comest thou peaceably? They asked him because they didn't know if he had a message from the Most High to bring judgment on them. So they saw the prophet coming and they didn't try to kill him. They had respect. And they said, comest thou peaceably? And he said, peaceably. And it's the same with Jeremiah. Because of the words he had already spoken with the power. See, The power that attends the words is not Jeremiah's power. That power is the spirit world led by the spirit of righteousness from the Father. And when those words are attended by that power, people shake. And as you saw in chapter 20, they want to kill the messenger. That's right. Or John the Baptist. They want to kill the messenger. We're going to know about that. We're going to have personal experience with that, y'all. If we're faithful, we got personal experience with that. So he says, go to the king's house and speak the word. So now, as he's approaching, you can imagine the guards, the servants see Jeremiah approaching. And he's got the look of a prophet on him. And the people know something. He's going to say something. Okay? Jeremiah chapter 22, verse 2. And say, hear the word of Yahweh, O King of Judah, that sittest upon the throne of David, thou and thy servants and thy people that enter in by these gates. Thus saith Yahweh, execute ye judgment and righteousness, and deliver the spoiled out of the hand of the oppressor, and do no wrong, do no violence to the stranger, the fatherless, nor the widow, neither shed innocent blood in this place. So they were practicing, apparently, as we know already, all of these things, shedding innocent blood. We talked about the valley of the son of Hinnom, where they offered human sacrifices of their children. We talked about also, the fatherless and the widow who were supposed to receive what? What were the fatherless and the widow supposed to receive? The tithes. But because of religious corruption, they never saw the money. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Because of religious corruption, the fatherless and the widow never saw what they were supposed to get. What was theirs by right was not given to them. Let me say that again. This is important now. What was theirs by right was not given to them. What was promised them from Father Yah was not given to them. Okay? So he's telling them to change, repent, execute judgment and righteousness, and deliver the spoil out of the hand of the oppressor, and do no wrong, do no violence to the stranger, the fatherless, nor the widow. By the way, that oppressor thing, deliver the spoiled out of the hand of the oppressor. That oppressor thing, that one that spoiled, the plundered. Who are the plundered? Well, when you read Ezra, the books of Ezra and Nehemiah, those of y'all, and I hope you're reading please read your Bible. Read it through. It will take you a year. A lot of y'all, and I praise y'all. One of the greatest things this year that has happened to me, honestly, seriously, is hearing about some of y'all reading through your Bible. That's a blessing, man. That's beautiful. In this, my ministry is fulfilled when I see people reading their Bible. That's the whole point of what I'm here for, to encourage you to read your Bible and read it with the Father's Spirit guiding you. Read it through from Genesis to Revelation. It'll take you a year. That's no problem. That's a year out of your life that's going to be blessed for eternity. And then when you finish reading it, read it again. Okay? And I am so blessed by getting testimonies of people that are doing that. It's a blessing, man. That's the blessing of all blessings to me, because I know when you're doing that, Father gets an opportunity to deal with you himself. And when he deals with you and teaches you, there's no greater teacher than Messiah Yahweh Shah, who he has appointed as the teacher to give you his spirit. And he will guide you into the truth. As long as your heart is sincere to want to do the will of the Father, he will cause you to be guided into truth and bless you. And we will all be able to stand together on the sea of glass, which is soon to come, as we know. Praise the Most High Yahweh. So he's saying here, the oppressed, and you read Ezra and Nehemiah, the oppressed were the people that the leadership, the rich people of the country had gotten in debt. Listen carefully. The rich people of the country had put their brethren in debt and was charging them interest on the debt. And one of the things that happened when they returned from Persia, to rebuild the temple, the second temple, was they had to erase, listen, all the debt. They had to cancel, and they put it, cancel all debt, cancel all mortgages. That's how you start back from being oppressive to not being oppressive, which tells you what they're going to do in this country, or should I say, what they're not going to do. Okay, what they're not going to do, because that's what they were doing, oppressing their own brethren with debt and interest and throwing them in prison and taking them in slavery because of the debt. Let's continue. Jeremiah chapter 22, verse 4. For if ye do this thing indeed, then shall there enter in by the gates of the house kings sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, he and his servants and his people. But if you will not hear these words, I swear by myself, saith Yahweh, that this house shall become a desolation. So your king of Judah's house is going to be destroyed, which means your kingdom is going to be destroyed. And he said, I swear by myself. Whenever Father says that, it gives me tingles. You know why? Because Father is saying, I got to swear by myself because there's nobody higher. He not swearing by nobody because there's nobody higher than him. That's why we call him. We don't call him God. We call him the Most High. That's not his name now. It just describes his position. The Most High. The Most High. He said, I can't swear by nobody else. I'm swearing by myself. He told Abraham the same thing. He said, I have sworn by myself that in blessing, I'm going to bless you. And I'm going to bless your seed after you. I have sworn by myself, Abraham, he said. Woo, that's telling you. For real, for real. That's how we say it, right? It's not only just for real. It's for real, for real. So he says here, if you don't stop this oppressive act, the shedding of innocent blood, the taking away from the fatherless and the widow, if you don't stop this, I swear by myself, I'm going to destroy this place. Obviously, it came to pass. Obviously. Let's continue. Verse 6. For thus saith Yahweh unto the king's house of Judah, thou art Gilead unto me, and the head of Lebanon. Yet surely I will make thee a wilderness and cities which are not inhabited. I will prepare destroyers against thee, every one with his weapons, and they shall cut down thy choice cedars and cast them into the fire. And many nations shall pass by this city, and they shall say, every man to his neighbor, wherefore hath Yahweh done this unto this great city? Then they shall answer, because they have, what did they do? Because why? Because they have forsaken the covenant of Yahweh, their Most High, and worshipped other gods and served them. Brethren, when we become greedy, we worship other gods. I know that sounds crazy, right? But think about it. You know it's true. If you are a server of Yahweh in the Israelite nation, and you begin to become greedy, you're no longer serving Yahweh. You are serving another God, the God of greed, because Yahweh is not the God of greed. Well, who is the God of greed? If Yahweh is not the God of greed, who is? Pretty obvious. The rulers of the darkness of this world. Spiritual wickedness in high places. The prince of the power of the air, Satan himself. That's who you're serving when you become greedy. Because when you become greedy, you're willing to oppress other people for your own gain. You're willing to crush other people that you might be in power. That, my friends, is not Yahweh. That is his enemy. Beware, and I always say this to myself, I got to check myself to make sure. The Bible says, commune with your own selves upon your bed. That's what he said. Commune with your own self. Check yourself. You know what we used to say back in the day? Some of y'all know this. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Isn't that true though? Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Make sure I'm not being the greedy one. that I'm not being the spirit of the oppressor. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. And that's what basically he's telling them. Check yourself. You spoiling the innocents. You're oppressing people. You're not giving the fatherless and the widow they do. You're being greedy. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because I swear by myself that I'm going to destroy this place. Okay? Let's continue. Jeremiah chapter 22. Verse 9, then verse 8, let me start at verse 8 again. And many nations shall pass by this city, and they shall say, every man to his neighbor, wherefore hath Yahweh done thus unto this great city? Then they shall answer, because they have forsaken the covenant of Yahweh, their most high, and worshipped other gods, and served them. Weep ye not for the dead, neither bemoan him, but weep sore for him that goeth away, for he shall return no more, nor see his native country. For thus saith Yahweh touching Shallum, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, which reigned instead of Josiah his father, which went forth out of this place. He shall not return thither any more, but he shall die in the place whither they have led him captive, and shall see this land no more. Isn't that what happened to us? We were led away captive, as Messiah predicted, into all nations, and we saw our land no more. We saw it no more. And we have not seen it since, to the point we have been away from it for so long, as the Bible also predicted. The time would be long. He said that. More than 2 millennia, which it has been. We have been away from the land so long, we can't even remember that we were once there. We have people trying to change our history to tell us who we are when the Bible tells us who we are. People trying to deny who we are when the Bible clearly, profoundly, and in detail shows us who we are. That's how long we've been away from the land. We have been so long worshiping wood and stone, the Christian cross, the Muslim Mecca. We have so long been seeking after money, like the Ashkenazis. We have so long been trying to act like them because we don't know who we are, that we forgot who we were. And I praise the Creator that he is now causing an awakening to take place according to his word, according to all the prophets. He's causing the awakening to start and to take us back to where we began and how we got to where we are now, and giving us a clear picture of what's happening so that we're not blinded in what we're going to be going forward. And we praise him for that. And he's showing us here in the prophecy of Jeremiah what happened in the past, as it was in the beginning, so shall it be at the end. Jeremiah chapter 22, verse 13, which is the point of today. Woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by wrong, that useth his neighbor's service without wages, and giveth him not for his work. Wait, let's look at this now. Listen to what the prophet says. The Messiah, the Most High Yahweh speaks through his Israelite prophet. Listen to what the prophet says. Jeremiah 22:13. Woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by wrong, that uses his neighbor's service without wages, and giveth him not for his work. Do you guys know of any kingdom or nation whose wealth was builded on unrighteousness? Who, what did it say? Built chambers by wrong and uses the neighbor's service without wages. Are you guys aware of any kingdom of wealth built like that? Because if you know such a kingdom, the Bible says, woe unto them. You know what the word woe means. That means darkness, destruction, badness, abomination, curse, everything bad that Yah could bring on it. He's going to bring on it, because he says, woe unto them that built their wealth by unrighteousness. You either didn't pay the wages or you underpaid the wages. Mostly you didn't pay. And you got rich off of it. You got wealthy. You built mansions off of it. You built houses, white ones, off of it. The Most High says, whoa. Now, watch this. If he said, whoa, to Judah because of this, what kind of woe is going to come on those that have used Judah to do this? Say that again. If he placed woe on Judah, his chosen people, the house of David, if he said, I'm placing a woe on you for this, what about those nations that have received Judah and have done this to them? What will he do to those people, to those nations? How would he feel about that? We're doing Bible today. We're not doing, you see, brethren, the media, and it's not just right now, it's the media from when media started, when they were just newspapers, when they was writings. Media and churches have been used to teach us what is their call, right and wrong, right? So that we don't see the word of the Most High. The churches take a verse from the New Testament and tell you don't listen to the Old Testament. And then there are those saying, just listen to the Old Testament because you'll be like the Ashkenaz and get money. And they don't really study the scripture for what it's really trying to say. And you know why? Because nobody wants the truth. The media teaches you, if you speak against sodomy, you're wrong. And sodomites are right. That's what it teaches you. That's what the media teaches you. Am I lying? If you speak against sodomy, you're wrong. But the sodomites are right. And in that, just an example of how the media is being used to teach people what morality is according to the spirit of the darkness of this world. How music and media, movies, so-called stars are being used to teach you the ways of the devil under deception that you can't see because of the blindness of their lights and cameras and action. But the word of the Most High, just plain words in black and white, by the power of an unseen spirit of righteousness, will show you what the truth is. And because the thing is crooked in the world, when you watch this straight as an arrow, straight to your heart truth that hits like a hammer, it busts up everything you're used to seeing. And when you speak it, the people that are in the crookedness of this world is going to think you're crazy and you're immoral because everything's been flipped upside down. Okay? But the truth is still the truth. The grass is still green. It's not purple. The sky is still blue. It's not red. Trees are still trees. Trees are not birds. So because they want to call a tree a bird or the sky red or the grass purple, that don't make it so. Truth is still the truth. Okay, it's still the truth. And so Yah is the God of truth. Satan is the God of lies because he's the father. I didn't give him that name. Messiah did. He said, when he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own because he is the father of it. So he is the father of lies and deception and those that want to follow lies, deception, and greed. He's their father. That's why Messiah told the scribes and Pharisees who were bloodline Israelites. He said, I know you're Abraham's seed, but your father and your father, the devil, because it's about the spirit. What spirit they were following? The spirit of greed, corruption, oppression. That was their spirit. And he said, that's your father, the devil, because the Holy Father in heaven, he has no corruption. He has no need of greed. He owns everything because he made it all. And he shares it with his people. Praise Yah. Let's continue. Verse 14. Actually, I'm going to start at 13 again. Woe unto them that buildeth his house by unrighteousness and his chambers by wrong, that uses his neighbor's service with outrages and giveth him not for his work, that saith, I will build me a wide house and large chambers and cut him out windows, and it is sealed with cedar and painted with vermilion. Shalt thou reign because thou closest thyself in cedar? Did not thy father eat and drink and do judgment and justice? Then it was well with him. He judged the cause of the poor and needy. Then it was well with him. Was not this to know me, saith Yahweh? So he's talking to the current king. The current king's father was Josiah. The last righteous king of the kingdom of the southern kingdom of Judah was Josiah. And when he died, that was the end of it. From that point on, there ain't been no righteous king there. And that's why we've been scattered. And so he's telling his son, who's now reigning, he's like, your father was like this. Your father did the right thing because he wanted to know me. If you'll recall, Josiah ripped his clothes when he found the book of Deuteronomy and had them read it to him. He ripped his clothes and he started reforms in a major way in Jerusalem and in Israel. And he put away the Sodomites and put away all the other gods, and he had them serving Yahweh only. And the Most High blessed him in that, blessed him. Okay. And he said, I'm going to destroy this place, but I'm not going to do it during your time because your heart was tender. And that's what Most High prophet is trying to tell his son who's getting power hungry, who's crazy and greedy. He said, he judged, talking about his father, he judged the cause of the poor and needy. Then it was well with him. Was not this to know me, saith Yahweh? But thine eyes and thy heart are not, but for thy covetousness. Covetousness, another word for greed. And for to shed innocent blood, and for oppression, and for violence to do it. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh concerning Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah. They shall not lament for him, saying, Ah, my brother, our sister. They shall not lament for him, saying, Ah, Lord, or Ah, his glory. He shall be buried with the burial of an ass, drawn and cast forth beyond the gates of Jerusalem. Go up to Lebanon and cry, lift up thy voice to Bashan and cry from the passages, for all thy lovers are destroyed. I spake unto thee in thy prosperity, but thou saidest, I will not hear. This hath been thy manner from thy youth, that thou obeyest not my voice. You know what? He said, this has been the manner of this king from when he was young. He was not obedient. He was covetous. He was greedy from the beginning. Do we know any kingdoms that can be described in that manner? I mean, covetous and greedy from the beginning. It has been prosperity from their youth, from the youth of it, from the beginning of it. Obeyest not the voice of Yahweh from the beginning. You guys know any kingdom like that? Let's continue. Jeremiah 22, verse 22. The wind shall eat up all thy pastors, and thy lovers shall go into captivity. Surely then shalt thou be ashamed and confounded for all thy wickedness, O inhabitant of Lebanon, that makest thy nest in cedars. How gracious shalt thou be when pangs come upon thee, as the pang of a woman in travail. As I live, saith Yahweh, though Coniah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, were the signet upon my right hand, yet would I pluck thee hence. And I will give thee into the hand of them that seek thy life, and to the hand of them whose face thou fearest, even into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, into the hand of the Chaldeans. And I will cast thee out, and thy mother that bare thee, into another country, where ye were not born, and there shall ye die. But to the land whereunto they desire to return thither, they shall not return. Is this Coniah a despised broken idol? Is he a vessel wherein is no pleasure? Wherefore are they cast out, and his seed, and are cast into the land which they know not? O earth, 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 hear the word of Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh, write ye this man childless, a man that shall not prosper in his days. For no man of his seed shall prosper, sitting upon the throne of David, ruling any more in Judah. Yes, brethren, the end result, as we can see, he keeps referencing the throne of David, because Messiah is going to sit on the throne of David in the earth, over the whole earth. And David himself is going to sit on the throne in Jerusalem. The Bible tells us that. And so there will be no more greed, covetousness, unrighteousness. There'll be no more disobedient to Yah's covenant. Everyone on the whole planet, whether they be from Asia, whether they be from Germany, whether they be from Australia, whether they be from Africa, whether they be from UK, no matter where you're from, if you are alive, if you are able to make it at that time, you will be obedient to Yahweh. You will not serve Buddha anymore. There are 550 million people on the earth that serve Buddha. There are 900 million people on the earth that serve the Hindu goddess Vishnu. There are 1.3 billion Christians and 1.2 billion Muslims. Everybody serving a different God, even within their own ranks. But that time, there'll be no more Buddha. There'll be no more Vishnu. There'll be no more Judaism. There'll be no more Islam. And there'll be no more Christianity. It will be Yah, the Father Yah, above all the earth. Adam will be there, and he will see the fruit of the work of Messiah that he came and did as the second Adam to redeem the chosen ones from the planet. You will see the work of all the peoples of these nations as they come to worship Yahweh at Jerusalem. The Bible says it. They're going to come to worship. Wait, let me show you. I'm not making that stuff up. Micah, Prophet Micah, chapter 4. The prophet Micah, chapter 4. Notice what it says here, beginning at verse 1. Micah, chapter 4, beginning at verse 1. Notice what it says here. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahweh shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow into it. And many nations shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the God of Jacob, the Most High of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. Did I just make that up, or did I read it in the Bible? He said, in the last days. What is that? You remember, there's a 1,000-year period between when the Messiah establishes his throne and the throne of David in Jerusalem and the final destruction of Asatan. Now, during the course of the 1,000 years, Asatan will be in the pit, a grave, with all of those that are going to be with him. And then there's going to be a final judgment at the end of the 1,000 years. So this period here we're dealing with is that 1,000-year period when everybody's going to learn of Yahweh that are redeemed. You see, there are people that have a sincere and honest heart. They're just bone ignorant of the truth. And I'm not saying that to be nasty. I'm just saying they just bone ignorant of the truth. Never had the opportunity to learn the truth. And Yah's going to save some of them. Isn't he a wonderful God? Isn't he? He's going to save some of them. And they're going to learn. They said, what? And many nations shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the Most High of Jacob. And he will what? Teach us of his ways. And we will walk in his paths. The whole earth's going to be a one speech, one language. Yes, that's right. Well, verse 5. Well, verse 2, Brother Mark, actually verse 2. Verse 2. He will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his path. Who are the teachers? The priests. Who are going to play? He's going to take for Levites who? The 144,000. They're going to be teaching. Brothers, that's going to be a wonderful time. Everybody's going to speak the same language. Everybody's going to have the same God. Animals are not going to be as scared of us, and we're not going to be as scared of them because we're not going to hurt them, and they're not going to hurt us. If you lay down in the woods, you won't die. You'll be able to walk safely in any woods you want. Nothing will kill you. And you won't kill anything. And you will learn. We will all learn his ways. For the law will go forth out of Zion. This is what's going to happen, brethren. This is the end right here. So we are being prepared for the kingdom. That's what Messiah said in Luke chapter 21. He said, pray that you be found ready and that you be able to stand before the Son of Man, that you can escape all these things. And we escape by righteousness. See? Don't follow the earth in terms of greed and covetousness. You know, people are starting to get that, you know. They don't understand what's happening to them. Most people don't. But y'all know there's a movement called minimalists. Have you heard of that movement? There's a movement called minimalism. What does that mean? That means people are understanding that things will not satisfy them. They're trying to accumulate things in this capitalistic society is a waste of time and energy, and it ends up being empty. And some people are discovering that. And so what they're doing, you're seeing people trying to live on very little. They can afford more, but they're trying to live on little, live on smaller amounts, not pack up their house with all kinds of stuff they don't need. You're seeing that. And I believe the Most High is trying to call people, trying to call you away from covetousness and greed. You're trying to call them. That's faithfulness right there from the Most High Yahweh by his spirit. And now, as the 144,000 are being developed to give a message of righteousness and truth to the earth, as it's already started, as the awakening of who they really are is already started, you're seeing the end results. And now what you're going to see now, what's happening right now, is the reaction. See, some people got it backwards. They're looking for Asatan's movements to be the sign. And we talked about this last Wednesday. The sign is not Asatan's movements. Asatan's movements, listen, is a reaction. He is reacting to what he sees the Most High doing. It's not the other way around. Asatan's reacting to what he sees. So everything you see happening is a reaction to what he's seeing, what most of the world don't see, which is the sealing of the 144,000. Which is the preparation of the final movements of the earth. Asatan sees it in the spirit world. He understands what's going on. And when you and I connected with the Most High Yahweh in the spirit of perfect righteousness, we'll see it too. And that's what he's doing. He's reacting to it. He's trying to counter it. And he's going to continue. And you're going to see worse things happen because of that. You're going to see worse things happen. Okay? Worse things are coming. But he will continually guide his people, and in truth, he will protect us. He will keep us as long as we're faithful to Yahweh. As long as we're faithful to him. Praise the Most High. Okay. Well, we're going to stop here. We're going to take a break here. We're going to come back at about 12:40. We're going to come back. It's about 12 or almost 12:10 where I am. We're going to come back. Let's call it 12:45. We'll come back and we'll start Jeremiah chapter 23. And we'll go from there. Jeremiah chapter 23. These are shorter chapters, which is why you see a shorter message, because the chapters are smaller, but the message is no less powerful. Praise the Most High Yahweh. So we'll come back at about 12:45 on Eastern Daylight Time in Washington, D.C. time, and whatever time it is. Like right now in my sister's house in Dallas, in the Texas area, it is 11:10 a.m. Right? So she's talking about 11:45. At my sister's house in Malaysia, it is now 12:10 on the AM side. She's in the morning, and so it's 12:45 where she comes. So depends on where you are. But right now it's 12:10 Eastern Daylight Time in Washington. We will come back and start Jeremiah 23, a very powerful chapter. Like I said, one of my favorite chapters, Jeremiah chapter 23. And we're going to come back and start that chapter by the grace of the Most High at 12:45. Until then, in the past then, if we don't see you, may the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. And may one day all of us meet face to face with Messiah, with the Father, and all the prophets on the sea of glass. Shalom.